you say you're here to demand the defendant finally take responsibility because, though he denies it, he is indeed the biological father of both your children.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pippen, you argue there's no way you're the father of her kids and claim you have undeniable proof on your side.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Furthermore, you and your girlfriend, Miss Sanders, say today's DNA results will clear your name once and for all.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Pippen, why are you so confident you're not the biological father of Miss Lewis's children?
Because she's a liar, she's a cheater, and I have proof
Your
that I'm
Honor.
not the father.
No, I was with this man since I was young. I had his back through everything. When she kicked him out, he came crying to me. When he had nowhere to go at, when you had nowhere to go at, you came home to me. And you would have knocked both of them, and you asked me to have them. Not once, but twice.
Your Honor, that right there, I did ask her to have my child, but...
I was with you.
Okay,
You
I
was
can see that this is a very passionate situation, and I understand why there are children at stake. But for the sake of this proceeding, let's talk about your doubts as they relate to Quayshawn first.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please, tell me how you met.
I met him, his mother was a bus driver at my school. One day he came home from the group home and he was riding the bus with her. I was about 15, 16 then. Okay, fast forward, 2009. Me and Mr. Pippen got closer. He was dating Miss Sanders, but she doesn't know this. That's when she had a little red truck. He came to my house. I was home by myself. We had sex the very first time in 2009.
Your Honor.
Okay, fast forward to 2010. Again, I had moved into another apartment. He moved in with me because he had nowhere to go because them two were on the outs again. So he moves in, me and Mr. Pippen had sex again. This time was a repeated thing. This is when he asked me to have his first child. Wow. He had went and told her, because he was taking my hair out, because I had him braided in too. He had was taking my hair out. I was sitting between his legs, matter of fact, because me and him was sitting there left in the back because we had just had sex the night before. And he would kiss her.
Okay, so let's pause for translation. You and him were on and off again.
Yes, Your Honor.
Throughout that time, he was also supposed to be with Miss Sanders in a committed, serious relationship, and you all were close.
Yes, Your
so
Honor.
close that you would let him take your braids out.
Yes, Your Honor.
Got it. Now, Mr. Pippen.
Yes, ma'am.
So you admit you were in a sexual relationship with Miss Lewis,
Yes, ma'am.
not using protection.
Right.
So why do you have doubts about Quayshawn if you admit you were in a sexual relationship with her during the time of conception?
Because the time around she got pregnant, I wasn't down here I wasn't in Greenville at the time when she got pregnant.
Oh,
I
so
was
you're
staying-
saying it's a timing issue.
Yes, ma'am. I was staying in Tarboro at the time with Miss Sanders.
I have the proof from y'all if you want to see.
I would like to see the proof. Jerome, please pass that to me.
And it said I got pregnant on conception was on May 25th when I was with Mr. Pippen because he kept blowing my phone up and popping up at my house. So I can't be with somebody and he kept popping up, crawling over top of my daggone balcony, knocking on my back door.
Miss Lewis, this evidence you've presented is to show that your child, Quayshawn, was conceived May 25th, around that area.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your contention, Mr. Pippen, Miss Sanders, that Mr. Pippen wasn't even around?
He wasn't because he was living with me in Tarboro, and so in order for him to go to work, I had to take him to work.
Just because you said you wanted me, he won't come home to me?
When we were going back and forth, he hadn't been to Greenville because of his work schedule and my work schedule. So
How far is...
Only about 10 to 15 minutes because Mr.
it's
Pippen
30
don't got
minutes
ways
from
to get there.
Tarboro to Greenville.
Oh, you're acting like it was 3 hours. So he's 30 minutes away from her?
Right.
Yes.
But he had no
And my
way
mother's
to
my
get
witness. She
there.
saw him coming out the front door when she was coming to bring me the car. And she saw him that same day coming down the steps. He said, I'll be back tonight. And he came back that night.
Were you dating anybody else?
No, Your Honor.
Nobody.
I trust Mr. Pippen. He kept telling me we were going to be together. We were going to build a family because he told me, I wanted you to have my kids. I'm coming home to you and only you. Because he had gave me a ring. And he said, I'm coming home to only you, and I want us to build this family. This is when he asked me, what do you want to do? 'Cause I never thought I could have kids, because it took me so long to have my son. So when they come back into the little room, they were like, Miss Lewis, you're 8 weeks pregnant. I burst into tears. I was 21 years old. I didn't know how to figure out what I want to do with my life yet. And here I am about to have a child. He comes to Greenville, where we live at, and he was like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, you asked me to have this child. I'm against abortion. So I said, I want him to lay down and have him, I'm going to be a woman to take care of it. He said, well, if that's your choice, I got your back. I want to be there for you. This is when he asked me to marry him for the first time, because it was 4 different times he asked me to marry him.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. She says you're the only guy she was with sexually. You were the person going back and forth between 2 women. Why is it you doubt that you are her child's biological
Because I seen
father?
her with her ex-boyfriend.
Your Honor, when he saw me,
Okay, now we're getting
And then
somewhere.
I tried to call her phone. She didn't want to answer her phone.
Your Honor,
so
when
I
he
went
said-
to the house. When she got, by the time I got there, she was back to the house. So I asked her about it.
Your Honor, the night he claimed me he saw me with his boyfriend was in December of 2011. I wasn't even pregnant yet. It was still on the ground.
So now Quayshawn is 2 years old.
Yes, Your Honor.
2. And all this nonsense is going on. 2 years old. What are you feeling, Miss Lewis?
He don't even like you because you whined on him when he was still so he said, Dad. And you whined at the front door and slammed like you never heard him call you. That boy looked just like your dumb tail.
Your Honor.
Your Honor, I have proof that this child looks nothing like.
Look at my baby. He didn't ask to be here. You asked me to have him. And now he said you want to take care of him.
Please explain, Ms. Sanders, what
Look,
this
that's the
evidence is.
just like-
On the right
Look,
side
that's
is
the
my
lie.
child that I have with Mr. Pippen. On the left side is her child.
They look just alike.
So Quayshawn is on the
Look, that's
left,
the light.
and your
They
child
favor.
you've had with Mr. Pippen is on the right.
Yeah, both of them are the
And
same
it is
age.
your contention that
They're a
there is
week
no
apart.
resemblance.
None.
That your
Look
child.
at her nose and look at his nose. They got the same little pointed nose. That
And he
child on
got
the
my nose, so what?
They talking about something, I don't do anything for this child. I went and had a DNA test done. And I had a proof right here saying that the child wasn't mine.
You do. All right. Jerome, please hand me that evidence.
The chapter
Mr. Pippen, what exactly is this?
That's the proof
Evidence
of the
of-
DNA test. The results was that I was not
Your
the
Honor.
father.
Your Honor, you know why he's not the father? Mr. Pippen and him that day kept going forth to the bathroom, chewing on stuff, whispering to Miss Sanders about different things.
Yes, Your Honor,
And
I was
asking her,
witness.
she kept saying, well, did you do it? Did you do it?
But Your Honor, but
So
I
why
did
you
not.
going forth to the bathroom?
Your
chewing
Honor,
on
how
stuff?
can you
Hold on.
tamper
So
with
what's
the
this?
DNA?
Oh, you need to provide side of clothes
Let's
from
get
that
some
wash.
order.
Thank
So you claim he took a DNA test
Yes, Your Honor.
and manipulated
Yes, Your Honor.
the results to compromise
Yes,
them.
Your Honor.
How do you think he did that?
Anything, because I don't take much off your DNA, especially Mr. Pippen, because he don't like taking care of his children as is. All 4 of them.
Let me hear from your mother. Please stand, ma'am. State your name for the court.
Agatha Slade.
Ms. Slade, you are Ms. Lewis's mother, am I
Yes,
correct?
correctly.
What do you know about this situation?
Your Honor, I was there when the DNA test was performed. He was going back and forth to the bathroom, like he had something in his mouth. They was sitting back and whispering. I'm just like, this is a DNA test. Why are you sitting here whispering at each other? Why are you smiling? Why are you doing all this walking around back and forth, back and forth? I mean, it's just too much going on at that point in time.
What do you think he did?
I'm thinking, okay, I'm just saying like I know what to do to throw anything off. You can do mouthwash, you do anything.
How do you know this?
Because, Your Honor, I'm a certified nurse assistant. I've been one for 18 years.
So you believe that there was some funny business
Yes,
going
ma'am, totally.
on?
Hard, yes, sir, yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your testimony. You may be seated.
Your Honor, how did I supposed to throw off a DNA test and I'm sitting there the whole time with my daughter in my lap?
No, you
with my
won't. No,
daughter.
you won't. You're going to
And
sit
then
back foot to
after
the
that-
bathroom.
And then after that, I only went to the bathroom one time. That was used, and I came right back out, and I did not have nothing in my mouth.
All right, well, I'll tell you this. I think it's time for the results of the DNA test as it relates to Quayshawn. And we will get to the second DNA results in just a moment.
Come on, baby.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Lewis Kornegay v. Pippen, when it comes to 2-year-old Quayshawn Pippen, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Pippen, you are not.
I
his
told you
father.
then. I told you.
Okay, I mean, don't mean no difference. You ain't been doing that
Same
no way.
thing.
So he ain't lost a game, nothing. He still got a father who's got
Why
his
is you
back.
making a big point of it?
Ms. Lewis, calm down. Calm down. Because this is a mess. And yet, you two continue to have a sexual relationship because we have yet another child whose paternity is in question. And that's 1-year-old Quaytavian.
Yes, Your Honor.
What are the circumstances surrounding this particular paternity issue? Or let's just cut to the chase. Who else could be the father?
Nobody, Your Honor.
Were you sleeping with anybody else at the time?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so please give me the circumstances surrounding this particular pregnancy and why you are so certain that it is Mr. Pippen's child.
Because around the time I got pregnant, I was only sleeping with him.
Mr. Pippen, tell me why you have doubts as it relates to the second child.
Because I have really serious doubts because after the second child was born, I seen on Facebook the baby name. It have the guy she talked to now have his last name. And
He does. He does.
and
Because
right
the
here-
fact is he's been there.
And on the pictures right here, that this baby do not look like me, it look more like him.
Jerome, please hand me that picture. So what you're saying is, Mr. Pippen, the child doesn't look anything like you in your opinion, but he looks like her current boyfriend.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's Mr. Kornegay.
Yes, Your Honor. And if that were the case, she would have gave the child my last name like she did the first.
For what?
If it
Mr.
were
Kornegay,
mine.
please step up to the podium. I want to hear from you. So the child has your last name.
The reason why he got my last name because I've been to a doctor's appointments with her. When she hurt, she cried. I was there with her. When he was born, I cut the neighbor cord. I signed birth certificate. He needed a father. Ever since then, he had my last name. I bought the boy clothes, shoes, Pampers. Then he go right down when I first fed him. I was there with the boy. That's why people think we favorable. I've been with her ever since then. When I lost my son, September the 1st, she was with me. I lost my son when he passed away. And it took me a while to get a bond with her 2 children. Now, they call me dad, and I accept it, because I lost my son. A week later, we had a girl. Our daughter is 2 months old. So we do got a daughter together now, blood. But I lost my dad when I was 18. This a long time ago. Now I'm trying to show him the right way my dad taught me. I'm his father right now. So when I get back, I'm gonna sign a birth certificate. He's all mine. He will get taken care of. That's why I ain't worrying about nothing.
All right. So, Mr. Pippen, were you intimate with Ms. Lewis during the window of conception without
Your Honor.
protection?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were. So you all were back in a sexual relationship again while you were still with Ms. Sanders.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you informed him you were pregnant,
Yes.
what was his response?
He asked me to name him after him. So if he feel like he's not sure, it's why you asked me to give him your last name. You give him your full name, not just last, but a full name.
And so is this true? You asked her to give
And then you
the
asked
child
me when I
your
was pregnant with
name.
Quayshawn to have a second child by you.
Did you believe the child was your biological child?
At first I did,
So no,
until everything else started happening, and then the child came back really mine with Miss Sanders.
Your Honor.
That daughter's really mine. So I guess she just feel bad about it because she just...
Oh, the fact that you did not have a paternity issue with Miss Sanders and that child is in fact your biological child.
Yes, Your Honor.
You feel like she's still trying to just say you're her child's father as well to get between you and Miss Sanders.
Yes, Your
I don't
Honor.
know for what. I don't want you back. I'm good right where I'm at.
Because I've been going
Jerome,
through
it's time for results. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Lewis Kornegay versus Pippen, when it comes to 1-year-old Quaytavian Kornegay, and as to whether Mr. Pippen or Mr. Kornegay is his biological father, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Kornegay, you are not his father. It has also been determined by this court, Mr. Pippen, you are his father.
Thank you.
I told you.
Then I step up and do what I gotta do. That's what I wanted to know the whole time.
I might mess up on the
That's
first one, the
case,
second one.
But that's the case. I do what I gotta do.
Let me say this. This energy between all of you is just so toxic. I'm worried for the children. All of them, yours together. There are a lot of innocent children involved in this situation. Now, we have resources for you, and you all need to take advantage of them. You need to sit down and figure out how to dialogue, how to co-parent, because you two have kids together, you two have kids together, and you two have kids together. You all done your dirt. You all done messed up, turned out, back around. This whole thing was such a mess. I could barely understand the story. It was such a mess. Mr. King, you have opened your case today because you are 100% certain that you fathered Ms. Holmes' 10-month-old son, Kevon. You state she told you that you are the father, but now says you are not his daddy. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Holmes, you admit you led Mr. King to believing he was your son's father, but you are here to prove you made a mistake.
Yes, Your Honor.
You know who Kevon's dad is, and it isn't Mr. King. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Mr. King, you stated that you're tired of being played.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain to the court, please.
It's like, Your Honor, when she wants something, she calls me, needs me. But now when we are having a complication, she's so quick to say, oh, you're not the father. Why is you here? What is you doing? Why you keep sending me stuff? Why can't you just get ghosted? And why can't you just leave us alone?
So she's sending mixed messages.
Yes, Your Honor.
She's telling you at some point you are the father, at some point you aren't.
Yes, Your
Give
Honor.
me an example.
When he needs clothes, hey, can you send your son some clothes? I'm okay with that. Clothes, money, diapers, whatever she needed.
And you accepted everything he had to offer,
Yes.
knowing that he may or may not be the father, but that you truly believed he was not the father.
Yes.
Are you playing both sides of the fence, Ms. Holmes?
Yes. That was.
Well, let's
like,
go ahead and be honest then.
I just want Kevon to have what he needs. And when I'm having a hard time and I need something, I know King's gonna give it to me. And it's like, when we arguing, I feel some type of way, because it's like he throws things in my face, like, oh, you know you were sleeping with me and him at the same time, and you know you don't even know if this is my son. So yeah, I text him when I need something, because why would I try to build a relationship if you're gonna keep throwing that in my face?
So you're the mother?
Yes.
And the master manipulator. Right?
Yes. I was stuck in between them two. Like, once upon a time, me and King, we was high school sweethearts. You know, we started sneaking around on the low. Like, we would skip school, we'll text each other during class and be like, let's meet at the staircase, and, you know.
Sexual things at the staircase in high school?
Yes.
No, Your Honor, that's not true. See, can I tell you what happened?
Please do.
All right, so like she said before, yes, we'll text and meet at the staircase, but it was nothing, probably just like a little dance or just a kiss.
A dance.
A dance.
Yes,
A dance.
Yes, Your Honor. Like,
Okay.
like maybe just a twerk.
Okay,
So
a
you
twerk
just
at
don't
the
sit there.
staircase.
Okay.
I've never heard of this, Jerome. Now, we twerking at the staircase.
We did more than twerk at the staircase, okay? Like,
Oh, wait a minute. What kind of biology class is this? This is a whole new kind of biology class. Basically, it's not in class where you're supposed to be.
nope, I was never in class.
And you see how that landed you straight here, right?
Yeah, I see that.
Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and so that was in high school.
Yes.
Yes.
Then at some point you said you reconnected.
Because I left. Like, I left Texas because at the time I was with the other guy, and me and him broke up. So I hit King up. I'm like, it's been a minute since I seen you. Let me come to Texas and, let's meet up. He was like, sure. So, I go to Texas. We get in the hotel. We having sex like 4 or 5 times a day. And
Wait a minute, what happened to let's just meet and go to lunch or go to the movies? I mean, you say you're gonna go to Texas and you just immediately get a hotel room and start having sex?
it's because when we was in high school, we couldn't do what we wanted. Like, we wanted to go that far, but we never got to it. And it's like when I saw him, it was like old feelings, arrived. So I was like, okay, let's just get this done.
The old feelings arrived. So you didn't even say we gonna go on a date, nothing. Y'all just go to a hotel and start having sex 4 and 5 times a day?
No, we went to dinner. I mean, I'm not that cheap.
Your Honor, that is not true. We did not once go out. Like she said, like you said, we went straight to the hotel room and she wanted to get it on. I was like, okay, I was in the mood for it anyway. The hormones are raising.
The hormones were what?
Raising.
They were raising.
Yes, ma'am.
Not raging. Raising. Now, what y'all about to be doing is raising some kids if y'all don't learn how to start what? And then what happened?
And we got it on, Your Honor.
So for 3 days straight.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so how did you find out, Mr. King, that she was pregnant?
She called me out of the blue. She actually went back to her boyfriend. She completely quit talking to me. I was like, oh, why? And I kept texting. I'm like, why are you not talking to me? You just had sex with me. It's like you just using me for a play toy.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm back with my boyfriend. I can't talk to you no more.
So, Ms. Holmes, you went back home and got back with your boyfriend immediately.
It wasn't immediately, but it's like when I touched down, he hit me up. He was like, hey, we need to talk. So, I meet up with him. We meet at our favorite restaurant and we talk it out. And he's like, I miss you. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why we took a break. So I fell for it.
What I want to know for the purposes of this hearing is how long after you and your boyfriend met up did you start having sex with him after you had just had plenty of sex with Mr. King?
It was like immediately, like the next day.
You did, Ms. Holmes?
Yeah, I did that.
So you had had 3 days worth of sex with Mr. King. Was that protected or unprotected?
That was definitely unprotected.
Then get back with your boyfriend. You also had unprotected sex with the boyfriend.
Yes.
1 day later.
Yes.
And how soon after that did you find out you were pregnant?
I found out in the end of November. So at that time, I was with the other guy. So we went to go get a pregnancy test, and it was positive.
So, Mr. King, while this is happening, you have no idea?
No, Your Honor.
Because she's cut you off.
Completely. No explanation, no nothing.
So take me to the day that you find out that she actually is pregnant.
She actually called me out of nowhere, out of the blue. And she called me, hey, you got a baby on the way. I'm like, what do you mean? We haven't talked, and clearly you got to be back with your boyfriend. So how am I the father? Quit lying.
You thought she was lying.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is interesting. So when you initially call him, Ms. Holmes, what do you say?
I said, there's no way I'm lying because my conception date is the 28th. And that's exactly when me and you was mostly intimate.
Okay, hold on. I want to understand this. You submitted a calendar to the court which outlines the window of conception you were given by your doctor. Am I correct?
Yes. She told me my conception date was the 6th of November. So at that time, I was with the other guy.
The first conception date you were given was the 6th of November. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was for the other guy.
Yes, sir.
So we'll call other guy OG.
OG.
Then you got a conception date of October 28th, right?
Yes.
That pointed to whom?
King.
Mr. King. Then you got a third conception date of October 30th.
Yes.
And then who'd you think it was the father?
The other guy.
Now, at any point in time, did you say to yourself, this is a really close window, and I actually don't know who in the world is my child's father?
Yeah, I had a lot of moments where at the time I was being stupid. I was just messing around with 2 guys at the same time, not using protection, and I don't know who's the father.
Why are you so convinced that the other guy is the biological father when you admit that you had sex with both men unprotected 2 days apart.
So when we was having sex, me and Mr. King, I would never let him, I was a track star.
What does that mean?
She kept running nonstop.
Like run around the room, track star.
What? Why you running around the room?
Because I wasn't expecting that to be the size, okay? When we was talking.
Lord. At some point, though, you did complete the act, Mr. King?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Holmes, at this point, even though you did finish the act with Mr. King, you're convinced Kevon is really your other boyfriends.
Yes.
Take me to the day you actually give birth. Who was there?
No one.
Neither guy.
No.
And that was purposeful, or?
Well, King wasn't there on purpose, because I felt so bad because of the
Your
things I
Honor,
was...
she actually didn't tell me. She didn't text me or call me or nothing. I kept asking her, hey, when you going to labor? Or text her. No response, nonstop.
You delivered the baby, Miss Holmes, by yourself?
Yes. Like the other guy, he had me thinking that we would be a family and...
Oh, the other guy did?
Yeah.
So was the other guy believing that he was the father at the time you gave birth?
No, actually, he got him a new girlfriend. So I try to stay in contact because, like I said, I thought he was the father. And when Kevon was born, I didn't tell King because, I mean, I already had bounced back between two guys. And, like, at the time, I didn't want to talk to King because every time I talked to him, I only used him.
The court actually was able to obtain a copy of Kevon's birth certificate.
Yes.
And what I found interesting is that under father's name, no name was listed. So if you were so certain that the other guy was Kevon's biological father, why wouldn't you list his name?
I mean, Your Honor, at the end of the day, I was intimate with two guys. So I knew that it's a possibility he could have been for King.
Okay, so the real truth is you don't know.
No,
Okay.
I don't know.
So, because we're only here for the real truth.
Yeah.
The real truth is you have no idea.
No, I have no idea.
And I'm glad you're honest about that because there's no way you can have any idea. Right. Not having sex with Mr. King on the 28th and having sex with the other guy on the 30th. And you understand that as well, Mr. King.
Yes, Your Honor.
I mean, you may hope and wish and bet your bottom dollar that this child is your biological child, but there is no way to know given the testimony we heard today.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you look at Kevon, do you see yourself? Do you feel like he looks like you?
I actually see the smile part.
You do? You think
Yes,
you have
Your
the same smile?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so why do you have that look on your face, Ms. Holmes?
Because Kevon that's my baby. And when Kevon was born, it's like my whole world changed around. Like I love him so much.
I know.
He changed my life. I went from clubbing to partying to being an old mom, always making sure he has. Put his needs before mine. And I was so selfish when I was having multiple sex with two different guys.
Because you didn't know at that time as a young girl how that would affect him.
Yeah. It kills me knowing that my son is 10 months and I don't know who his dad is.
And that's one thing I feel like in this courtroom, we don't really talk about enough. We don't often think about the load that a mother carries in terms of the guilt. And I see that in your eyes. You say you feel very badly that for 10 months your son doesn't know who his father is and you don't know.
No.
So what are your hopes? What are you truly hoping for today as we stand here?
I do hope that he is for Anthony, because when he met him for the first time, it was like love at first sight. Like, he looked at him, he kissed him, he hugged him, and I never seen my son smile so much. Like, it brought a smile to my face because he's not around no males. It's just me.
So the other guy hasn't had any part to play in his life?
No.
Hasn't supported the child in any way?
No.
Hasn't come to visit Kevon at all?
No.
Has never laid eyes on him?
Wow.
Jerome, I'm ready for the results.
Here we go.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. It has been determined by this court Mr. King, you are not the father. I know that wasn't the answer you wanted, Mr. King. I'm sorry. And Miss Holmes, I know that was hard for you to hear. I can see the tears in your eyes, Mr. King. You really wanted it to be a different result.
Yes, Your Honor.
What are you feeling in this moment, Miss Holmes?
A lot of regret. A lot of regret. Because this man he hasn't even tried to get in contact with me for Kevon. And Anthony always check in, make sure he's okay, ask how he's doing, what's his growth, if he needs anything. And it hurts that that King's not the father.
You actually don't have to make the child to be the child's father.
That's very mature of you. Are you saying that you're gonna step up regardless as to whether or not you and Miss Holmes are in a relationship?
Yes, Your Honor.
It is admirable. If you wanna be in Kevon's life, I think that's a beautiful thing. But I do want you to truly think about it. Because it does Kevon no good for you to stay in his life for 4 years. You and Miss Holmes try to work it out, but then it doesn't work out, and the next thing you know, you got another girlfriend. But for 4 years, he's believed you to be his father figure. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, Your Honor.